Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 208, The Illusion of Control. Recorded on Thursday, July 21st, 2022 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
Yeah, well, before we do, I'll do our announcements and events. So we're recording this show. For those of you that don't know, we're doing Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 o'clock Eastern time, because I am going to be on the road early this morning. So we thought we'd record it now. And I got a bright, shiny new haircut too, Tyler, just for the show.
Looking very
I
sharp.
think it was kind of long overdue, but
Yeah, you had to slick it back to hide exactly how long it really was.
well, that was during my unhinged part of my life. By the way, I got a lovely email from our client who said that, and I want to thank you for that. It cracked me up. It was very, very nice. So I'm no longer unhinged. I'm keeping it together. Let's see
We'll
how long
see.
that lasts. I don't know.
Yeah, let's
This week,
start the timer.
we'll see how long it lasts. Alrighty, on events, a few things going on. The Zoho user groups are kind of just rolling on through. So Eastern and Midwest cities, if you click the link here, you can find one near you and go over and say hello to some Zoho people. Project Analytics 360 Insights for a successful project delivery. That's going to be put on by Zoho, and that's on Wednesday, July 27th at 10 a.m. Wrapping up the month of July, you've got Zoho Invoice for Designers. That's going to be on Thursday, July 28th at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, also put on by Zoho. And then, Tyler, we're going to do the Zoho Bundle-Roo overview. Which one is right for you? And that's going to be our August webinar, August 16th, 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. And with that, let's get right on into the news. So this is kind of interesting because I don't spend a whole lot of time in CRM Plus, mostly Zoho One, but
Hmm.
now have unified telephony in CRM Plus, meaning that it will now work across CRM Desk and Sales IQ together rather than
Yep.
you having it installed separately on each one. And I'll bring up this screen here, I'll open, if you're watching us on YouTube, and if I open this in a new tab, we've had this for a while where you have CRM, you can basically, check here where you want to put the
Yeah, and they added
data.
that with Zoho One when they
Yes.
originally swapped the integrations to that PBX center. That's kind of the underlying phone system for all of Zoho One.
And so now it's available inside of CRM Plus. Now, but there was a change here after the call. I wanted this because kind of breaks the post-call note taking, right?
Yeah, I had a little point of feedback on it. I was going to let him slide, but since you brought it up, Zoho, if you're listening, at the end of this call, you basically used to get right inside that pop-up widget, the call result field, which if you're doing some outbound prospecting from the CRM is really important, right? Left voicemail, told me they're not interested, right? You want to just be able to log that straight from the call. And it's
Right.
still there in this interface, but it's 3 or 4 clicks deep. So
Got
Zoho,
it.
if you're listening, please let us customize those fields. It'll make me very happy if you turn that back on.
So anyway, this has been around for a little while over in Zoho One, but now CRM Plus has it. I just assumed it was a kind of a universal rollout when it happened, but evidently
Mhm.
not. So very good if you're a CRM Plus user. And if you don't know what the bundles are, if you head over to Zenatta.com and click on resources, click on Zoho bundles, it'll go through all of that. Or you can just watch our webinar in about a month, and we'll tell you the difference between Zoho One, CRM Plus, Marketing Plus, all the different pluses.
Finance Plus, I think. Yeah, lots of different
Yeah,
pluses.
Disney Plus, Apple Plus. We're going to cover all the various bundles. Should you get the ad-free service, or should you pay the extra money and not have any ads? That's pretty much what we're going to talk about. So that's good. All right, and then Control, an application that we have still never implemented or deployed, but kind of the general overall orchestration across multiple applications, kind of workflows across multiple applications. Is that one of the best ways to describe it?
Yeah, I think so. It's centralizing like approval processes and things like that that might touch CRM and books, for example.
Yeah. So if you are using it, they have some updates. You can now send emails to create cards using email in. So that is nice as far as allowing you to send emails out of control. And you can collect phone numbers in forms inside control with the proper country code variants. So that kind of gives you an idea of how new control is. And, as they're kind of going through it, there are little kind of things like this that they're setting up. And you could set deadlines for stages based on fields, various other things. So if you're a
That'd be
user
nice
of
to have.
control,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. And they've got some new, they're really rolling out some resources on how to, some other stuff here. We probably should assign someone to dig into this. I think I say that every time we have a control article.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is now that they've spun it off as a separate brand and it's not included with Zoho One. It's interesting that they still post it on the Zoho community forums because I know they wanted to draw that line pretty clear that it's, a separate brand from Zoho. But for so many of our customers, they are using Zoho One and we're able to do what Control does without using it, right?
Right.
We'll just kind of build the approval process native in CRM and then kick a function over to Books, with whatever data is needed. So yeah, we just generally don't find a reason that we would advise a client to pay for it, right? When it's not already included with Zoho One.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've got Zoho One, and they've carved out what, three or four applications, four or five applications carved out of Zoho One. You've got that. You've got their LMS, which has been
Trainer
rebranded,
Central,
Trainer
yeah, when they,
Central,
yeah,
right? Um, maybe they should do a Zoho One Plus. Get it? Like, and throw in those things as
a
well.
master bundle, one bundle
Yeah,
to rule them all.
it's the ad-free bundle I was talking about. That's where we're going. So, anyway, good on the control team, and a little slow, a bit of a slow news week, but we're going to wrap it up with Zoho Projects. This is their quarterly update. Everything that basically happened last quarter. I believe we have covered all of these. Just real quickly, I'll take the first two here. Gallery functions. So you now have custom functions in the gallery. You can basically just pick and choose, change the successor task status, some kind of nice little workflow functions that are put in there. And web tabs were added. And then we already covered that. And then there was this thing with sprints and projects as well, some synchronization there.
Yeah, additional syncing for statuses. Sometimes people like to kick a task over to sprints and work it there. So now basically we'll write back to your project's task.
And the one I think you were most excited about was webhooks and blueprints when that rolled out last quarter. So
Yeah,
this can be
anything that lets us send data, right? Anything that gives us a trigger, we are always happy to see.
And we've got some org level issue reports, customized task columns, threshold for time log reminders, task dependencies on list views. This was kind of nice. This was another big one that rolled out. And that's kind of it. We've covered all of these, but this article kind of summarizes them all up. So if you're a Zoho Projects user and you missed them, each one of these kinds of has individual call outs to the actual article and details on it. So a nice little summary of what happened in Zoho Projects last quarter. All right, Tyler, with that, let's get into the implementation of the week.
Alrighty, so this kind of a fun one that we did inside of Zoho Creator. This one was from Hunter, one of our developers who does a lot of work inside that app. So essentially, a big part of the workflow inside of this app was driven by comment records. So their transactions are kind of unique in that, there's some data that's going to fit into a drop-down field, but there's a lot of things that are super important that are just free-form kind of contextual information. And so as people are kind of working on these transactions, they're loading all these various comments. And what the leadership team wanted to be able to do was create kind of like a feedback loop and start letting the team who's leaving the comments start to understand which comments are super helpful and are really pointing towards being able to close that deal or close that transaction. So we do this kind of a lot in Creator, but in this case, we set up a little custom button that basically lives, built in HTML. So it has that nice look and feel where you can go ahead and just like that comment. If you're one of those admin team members and you want to let someone know this was super useful, give me more information like this, right? You can just click like. It will go ahead and tally up the number of likes against that particular comment, as well as notify that user that that specific comment was useful. So it's kind of just a fun one here that allowed them to really quickly and easily start gathering some more feedback loops, and let those teams know, what types of work is really helping them out from an admin perspective.
All right, fantastic. There's so much we can do in Creator and so much we do. And this is another nice little implementation inside of the Creator application.
Absolutely.
Speaking of providing user feedback on the backside here, while you were doing that, Freddie was telling me that there's a poll running, and currently 78% of those people out there who do think I am, in fact, unhinged. So there we go. All right. And with
We've
that,
made
let's
it
head on.
quantitative, right? We've got some quantitative proof now.
Perfect. All right. With that, let us move over to our code share of the week over at Club Zenatta. And JP, wow, Paulo Mata, I don't want Paulo. Did I get that right? I think I was close there. Anyway, part of my unhingedness. He has put together using Zoho Maps to manipulate geodata in a deluge function. I'll let you go over this, but a lot of people don't know that there is such a thing as Zoho Maps, by the way.
I
Very
forget
similar to
all the
Google
time,
Maps.
but it does exist. It is there. You can use it. Yeah,
It's
so this is
free
kind
to
of an
the public.
implementation using Zoho Maps on the back end. And it's pretty clever. I mean, a lot of the times we'll use a third party mapping service, but then you are paying each time that you hit that API. So in this case, essentially what we're looking to do is calculate distance between two things, right, based on their addresses. So understanding maybe a certain distributor that's close to a customer, right, a certain contractor that's close to a job, right? That's the types of ways that you might use this type of implementation. And so essentially what you can do is actually just drop in, it looks like here we're just using street, city, and state, just using this zoho.map.geocode action where you're just dropping in those data and it's coming back with your longitude and latitude or latitude. And so from there, right, you can basically do that with your 2 addresses, 3 addresses, really however many you're looking to compare and start to understand the distance between those different places, right? So that you're able to, get a rough idea of location based assignment or grouping of different accounts, customers, vendors. So it's a pretty fun one. Really, I think the goal here is just to highlight that Zoho actually does have this. We forget all the time, and so anyone who's out there doing work like this, maybe might want to take a look at this implementation.
Nice. All righty. And with that, before I go on from here, if you're not familiar, Club Zenatta is our little community where our people who are clients of ours, not clients of ours, developers, Zoho people, we gather and we discuss all things Zoho, just like the CRM Zen Show. We've got a general discussion forum. We have the code share forum. We post at least one piece of code there every week, if not more. You can drop questions that Tyler and I will answer or attempt to answer on the CRM Zen Show. And we also track all the news. So as most of the stuff we discuss on the show, it's happening throughout the week. We kind of put it there. So if you want to go look at it early or kind of go back and look at anything that we may have collected, it's kind of a really nice news feed as to what's happening in the world of Zoho. You don't have to go scouring for it yourself. But really happy with the participation here. Where are we at, Tyler? Any angels getting wings yet? Oh,
Let's
clicked on Kevin.
see.
Let's see. See all. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, we are 23 members away. I believe next week we will have another angel getting a pair of wings. Every time we get to a new 100 members, for those of you who don't know, wings are handed out. So there you go. And maybe to be fair, all inclusive, maybe a devil should get a pitchfork. You know,
Just to play both sides, right?
just we want to be safe. You know, you never know you're going to go. All right, with that, let's head over to our read of the week. This is kind of different for us. This is over from Enterprise Story, an Indian publication, and it's about ManageEngine. And for if you don't know, ManageEngine is actually a Zoho product. It's almost treated as a completely separate company. It's got its own president and everything, but it's owned by Zoho. And this is basically device management. This is used by MSPs, managed service providers, managed security service providers, basically to keep track of cell phones and laptops and desktops and all the assets that are out there. It allows you to push patches out in the window environment, changes, applications, all of those kind of things. And it's a big marketplace, and Zoho actually does play in it. We kind of thought this was an interesting article. It gave us some really cool information on Zoho. So 2021 fiscal year, 715 million in revenue. Which was a 24% growth year over year. What I thought was really interesting is that there are 10,000 employees in India, but 4,000 of them are ManageEngine people that are working there. So pretty good stuff. Also, some really nice details on ManageEngine, what they're doing, their growth, where their business is, and it's a fairly interesting product. So worth taking a look at. If you've not checked out ManageEngine before, if you're thinking your company or organization might need something like that, go ahead and take a look. It's interesting because we never play in that. I mean, as a Zoho partner, you're not even a ManageEngine partner. This is really a whole different kind of IT specialist who deploys this and uses this product. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really work with it much at all. We're really just focused on, CRM and, really the workflow applications that, plug into your business. But yeah, totally different arm of Zoho that sometimes, again, we kind of forget is there until an article like this pops up and we're reminded, oh yeah, ManageEngine. And it's actually a widely used product. I mean, they've had a lot of success with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. All right. With that, why don't we head over to Zenatta and see what's new over there? We have a nice little article, 5 less obvious ways to speed up your website. I guess the obvious way would be maybe reduce your image size, cache your website, things like that. So here are some less obvious ways. Slow servers. Maybe you've got a slow server. So take a look, get a better hosting provider. I can tell you, I will not name where we were, but we changed from where we were to Liquid Web, and just amazing. I mean, just if you, oftentimes people are on shared virtual servers and everything's going great, and then they add someone to your shared virtual server who shouldn't be on a shared virtual server, and they're just killing the bandwidth, and everything will come to a complete crawl. So that's worth looking at. And then a little theme here. Maybe you've got some outdated PHP, and you'll need to update your PHP. This is also a big one. Also, outdated versions of WordPress. They kind of talk. This is really interesting. The speed difference from versions to versions by upgrading and not upgrading. Kind of cool little chart here. Clearly, you get a lot of benefits if you update. Bloated themes, right? Like potentially the new Game of Thrones series coming out. I think there could be some bloated themes there.
Very nice.
Did you like that? Just kind of
I did
slide
like
that
that.
right in there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's because I'm a little unhinged. Anyway, instead of and this kind of ties into if you got a big old bloated theme, and if you're not familiar in WordPress, you can download a theme, and the theme is kind of pre-built for what you're doing. It's got
That's
lots
like
of
the
images.
baseline. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But sometimes they're big, and if you don't clean them out of stuff you've decided not to use at the end of the day, they can be it can be pretty messy. And then the big one, last one here is page builders. It's interesting. You've got Divi Builder, Divi Theme, Elementor. Those are really, really the big page builders that are out there, and all of them pretty much lay on top of WordPress. Now, Gutenberg is WordPress's kind of own page builder. And so when you're working in it, as you can kind of see from the scorecard here, if you can live in Gutenberg, which has gotten considerably better over time, then your site will be tremendously faster. So some recommendations here at the end, but a nice article by our team. So there you are. If you think your website's going slow, check this out. And if you'd like some help with it, book an appointment with our web team. We'll be happy to help you. All right. And also, we've got the Zoho Analytics Full Product Tutorial 2022. I'm so happy to say I was not a part of this, Tyler, that you and Greg did this. So we had a little bit of technical difficulty, but it went really well. So did we do one prior to this? Is this our first analytics, or had we had one in 2020
I think
or
we had a
2021?
2021 or maybe a 2020. We've done
Okay.
one webinar before, and we've done a few kind of like specific webinars. We did the books and analytics webinar with the Zoho finance team. So we've like referenced it a lot in webinars, but I think this is the second, kind of fully dedicated Zoho analytics walkthrough that we've done. Pretty good one. Kind of walks you through tour of the application, getting your data in, creating some reports, and then organizing those reports into dashboards. So really, as kind of the core steps there. I mean, that's the workflow that we would essentially follow to get this off the ground for a client. So if you are kind of looking at it and maybe don't know where to start, this would be a great place to dive in.
Yep. And you can watch the video over on YouTube on our website. And we're recording this a little bit early, like we said on Thursday, but eventually this article will be a full write up of everything you guys talked about as well. So if you'd rather read than write, you can, or read than read than watch, you can do it that way. All right. And with that, let's get over to our pick of the week. I think a couple of shows ago, we asked someone, or we put it out there, and we'll put it out there again. If you've got a great app, because this is episode 208, Tyler and I are running out of great applications that we can recommend or talk about. Let us know about it. And John Cromer did just that, and he's recommending Epic Pen. This is pretty cool. It's over at Epic, E-P-I-C, pen, P-E-N.com. And it's pen for your PC. So it lets you draw over any application on Windows and Mac OS. They have got a free version that has some limitations. They have a pro version, which is very inexpensive. I want to say it's $25 per, like, that's it. You're just buying it per machine. So I imagine when they sell upgrades, they'll try to get you to buy an upgrade. But really, you're just working on something and you'd like to illustrate over it, you can do just that. Save the screens. It's got a whole bunch of nice little features. So I don't know, Tyler, this is actually one of the cooler little apps. Have you ever seen this one before?
No, I've never seen it. It's kind of interesting. I'm curious, I guess, do you kind of write, then can you use that as your like video input? So if you're in a webinar, you would like share your Epic Pen screen, or is it just like superimpose it onto your page natively and then, whatever your output is going to grab it? I'll have to
Yeah, I mean,
download the free version and play with that. Be cool for recording client videos, to be able to kind of draw and highlight on things.
yeah, very much. I guess your question, would this show up if you were doing a webinar? Right? I mean,
For him,
that
that's
would be
what he's
kind
saying he uses it for. So there's got to be a way that you can configure it basically to go out with your video.
yeah.
That's very cool.
Cool little app, good price. Thank you so much, John, for the recommendation. And with that, let's head on over to our tip of the week. I love this screenshot. So I queued this up. I paused it just right. So Ty, this is kind of a throwback from earlier in the year. Man, how you have aged this year. Wow, it's crazy. But this was Zoho Project Setting Overview. This is taken from our Zoho Projects webinar, correct?
Yep, this is one of our little excerpts here. So we'll run through really all the various settings that exist inside of Zoho projects and kind of show you what each of them do and where to find them.
Fantastic stuff. All right, guys. And with that, let's get to some Q&A. Alrighty, our first question comes from Raven Stevenson. After watching Zoho Analytics formula columns, aggregate formulas, and basic SQL, she said, does Zoho Analytics SQL support create trigger type commands to auto update, insert, and delete rows?
No, they do not. What we'll generally do if I want to use a SQL table as the decider, right, for creating, inserting, or deleting rows in a different table is I'll create the SQL inside of analytics, and then I'll build like a scheduled function inside of something like flow that will reference that table to go ahead and do any of the upsert, inserts, or deletes. So yeah, unfortunately, they don't allow it natively within the SQL code themselves. Unless one of our developers pings me right now and says, no, they in fact do, then no, I think generally we'll park a function somewhere else and have her reference that table.
Fantastic. Next question. Dipam Patel asks, hey Tyler, just skipping right over me. knows I don't have the answer, doesn't want to hear from me at all. Watched your Zoho Analytics tutorial and says, how do I use Zoho Analytics to get a column statement of profit and loss based on reporting tags?
Yeah, so what you'll want to do is you'll have to do a lot of this inside of SQL, inside of Zoho Analytics. What I would do is actually in our resource library on our website, under Analytics, we should have a couple links to some old articles that Zoho posted that actually have the code pre-written to create a profit and loss statement. I would start with those, and then I would apply filters or maybe different versions of a P&L because you create multiple SQL tables. So depending on how you want to do it, you'd either want to include the reporting tag in that report to filter it out, or clone it, right, and just hard filter it inside of your SQL using where statements for each of your different reporting tags. So a little bit of a project, I think, to really get that done.
All righty. And our next question from Monvis. Do you know if you can have books e-commerce integration with Zoho One Plan? I can't see the e-commerce section under integrations. Yes.
Yeah, with Zoho One, I think when you have Zoho One, they only show them under Zoho Inventory. I could be
Yeah.
mistaken. They might still be in books, but they don't call them e-commerce. When you go to the integration section, they'll call them shopping cart instead of e-commerce. And that's where you'll
Yeah.
find the native ones for like a Shopify,
Or Zoho Commerce. Yep.
yeah, or Zoho Commerce.
All right, over at Club Z, Paul is asking, I'm going to parse this question. He is saying, I believe, if you are working in CRM and you go to a client, you open maybe an account tab or a contact tab, is there a way to highlight whether or not they are overdue for a service? And I think so. I mean, you could basically set a workflow that said if there's a date field in there and it's 2 days past that, you could do something with a tag. You could color code a tag. Um, any other ideas as to how you might
Like
want to
doing
do
a
that?
task, you could do
Yeah.
if you have, let's say, a customer record, and then if you have a custom module for like a service, right, that occurs, then each time a service happens, you could write to like a last service date field on that account with the current date. And then like Brett's saying, 60 days after the last service date, meaning that we've reached a point that we haven't done it for 60 days, you could create a tag. I would think about maybe doing a task so that it can be assigned to somebody, because those will also color code when they get overdue, and they'll always show at the top of the record, just like a tag would. So really, it's kind of like a preference there of what you want to have happen. But unfortunately, if you're thinking like a pop up, like you load the page and it's like, hey, stop everything, they're overdue. You would not be able to do that natively inside of Zoho.
What about the client-side scripting we were doing recently where we did a pop-up where if you entered the person's name or whatever, could you go
Only
to a
when you're
record?
editing fields, unfortunately. So you have to
Only
be in the
only if you're editing. Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. And I think, we do have one more. Isabella Padilla asked, hello, everyone. I hope someone can help me with this. I work for an insurance company and we're trying to find the best setup inside books for commission payments we have every month. They are recurring, but we cannot pinpoint the best way to set up these commissions. There are two ways of doing this. The first one would be to actually maybe track those commissions inside of Zoho CRM, and maybe you do it in a custom module, an account field, however you want to do it. There's a bunch of ways to set that up, and then have a trigger that could automatically set up a bill, or however you wanted to do that over, and create that inside of Zoho Books. And then Tyler, you were saying you could also do it inside of Analytics.
Yeah, most of the time we find ourselves not needing to create records for commission payments. We'll kind of have them calculate on the fly. So, like if you have an invoice in books and there's a salesperson, you could do a flat rate on the invoice total. You could assign rates per each of the individual items, right? And then on the analytics side, it's just going to calculate all that for you, right? Based on whatever date bands that you want to have, payment date, invoice date. And then, yeah, at the end of the day, from an accounting perspective, I guess you could decide if you want to log them as an expense or as a bill. But you could either have a scheduled function or a regular import from that analytics data to load it into where it needs to go inside of Zoho Books.
Fantastic. And I think that is going to wrap it up, Tyler. I will be here next week. I'll be doing the show. I'm going to be doing the show from Portland, Oregon. So that'll be fun. Then week after that, I think Jordan is setting in. Both shows, they'll be at the regular time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And everybody have yourself a fantastic week. As always, if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can head over to zenatta.com and you can drop us a line there. If you've got questions you'd like to answer, you'd like us to answer on the show, just head over to club.zenatta.com.
On the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as links to all the stories we discussed today. We'd love if you would follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. We'll see you next Friday.
Crazy. Hey, we're back in the broadcast. Oh, all right, Tyler. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Later, guys.